Okay, I really need to preface the main point of this video with pointing out that I am not a reviewer of FPV gear. I'm an enthusiast who is sharing my experience with the products that I've purchased, sprinkled in with other FPV related content. Now keep that in mind because a lot of what I'm going to say is subjective and based on my personal opinion and experience. Again, this is not an objective review, so let's roll with part 1 of my experience with HDZero and analog. Now to really gauge my experience so far, I think it's important to know what I was using before my time with HDZero's analog. Prior to these goggles, I was using my Orca FPV pilots, or V2s as they're often referred to. I had that paired with a Rapidfire module from Immersion RC, and before anyone asks, yes, I had them get bricked last year, but have fixed them fully since. Outside of that, I've never really had any issues with them performing, and they kind of pretty much did as expected. The image was great for analog, whatever it is that's worth, and digital receivers that I used on them, HDZero and Walksnail, worked great on them. But time marches on, and so does what I want for my FPV feed. So, what are my initial impressions of the HDZero as an analog feed? Well, I realized that I really don't like the extra sharpening the goggles do. But it's not distracting, and I got over it quickly. Otherwise, the image was really good. The field of view was nice, and I was enjoying it a fair bit with my Rapidfire module and my 3D printed module adapter. So, if you order the analog adapter, make sure you order the whole adapter. When the thing says PCB only, it meant it. That's on me, not on HDZero. Well, it's kind of funny though. But all was not well with my experience. See, just before my first Tiny Whoop race with the goggles, I got all of my firmwares updated on the Rapidfire and the goggles, only to show up to the race with an absolutely unusable image. Great. Well, thankfully, I still had my Orcas to come back up and save me and let me race that day, but apparently, on firmware 9.3, something falls apart for Rapidfire users. And I say that because word on the street, and I haven't gotten to confirm it for myself, that TBS Fusion and SpeedyB users are not having this problem. So, what was the solution? Rolling back to goggle firmware 9.1. Got everything back in line for me. But that means I give up some newer fixes, and I'm currently exploring my options when it comes to modules. So how do I feel so far? If firmware 9.1 was the current one, and I didn't know what could go wrong, then I'd tell you that it's been a great experience, and I've been overwhelmingly impressed, and these goggles nailed with what I wanted. But the reality is that it's such a mess, I'm quite torn and displeased. Best analog goggles ever? Not in my opinion. And I can't recommend any analog pilot pick these up in a transitionary state from my personal experience, mostly because of how poorly they work with newer firmwares and Rapidfire modules. And a lot of people are running Rapidfire modules, guys. And it's not just me. I've been in the HDZero Discord communicating with and trying to help others get past this problem. So it's pretty widespread. Now I do intend to do a part 2 of this when I can get my hands on a couple of other receivers to see how they work. I have some friends with Fusion modules tucked in a drawer somewhere, so when they can find them, I'll give that a go and report back. I'm also contemplating ordering up a cheap AKK diversity receiver to see how that goes. Now, I'm not laying down my full and final thoughts on the HDZero goggles for myself, but overall, I don't hate them. So that's it for now, and until next time, stay airborne.